Hey guys, Magula Smith. Hope you guys are having a great day. I had a good day myself, late into the evening right now. My parents are probably in bed. They just watched a movie. I'm not sure if they're finished with it or not, but anyway, yeah. I have a question for you guys on what we're gonna talk about. Are any of you guys say happy with the era that you're currently living in right now? Like the time that you were born, are you happy with the era that you grew up in? You currently happy with the era that you're living right now at your age? Just curious because what my shirt says here is gonna associate with what I'm gonna be talking to you about right now. So yeah, what I'm gonna be discussing is this. Look, I was born in 2001, and so that means I'm a Gen Z. I was a kid growing up in the 2000s, 2010s, pretty much like the golden era of some classic kids channels, whatnot. And as we know, a lot of those kids channels that we grew up with are just not good anymore. Well, especially with the news and stories that were talked about on like the Quiet and Set documentaries. And oh yeah, I'd seen those episodes. Not the newest one that they released, but that's okay. I've heard enough to know how bad it was. Well, anyway, yeah. Even though I could definitely say I'm happy, sure, with the era I grew up in, the time I was born, the era I grew up in, the era I'm living with now. No, I got nothing against it. But there are some times that I wish that I actually was born earlier than the year I was actually born in. Say probably 1991. And I'm going to give examples, a lot of my favorite things actually come from the 90s and 2000s, such as classic TV shows, video games, movies, and music, especially. And all, yeah, as you can guess by the shirt, I go old school. And like this is a PS1 controller, as you can see. I very much love retro games. I grew up with a PS2 that's currently on right now. If you can probably hear the on sound it's making. I'm not sure if you can or not, but yeah, that's what it is if you hear it. But yeah, and as of right now, I actually have this like video game collection that I won't show you right now, but I have a full shelf of a lot of old retro consoles that a lot of which I actually never played growing up, but some I've wanted to have, at least collect. And so yeah, the PS2 was my entire life when I was growing up. The games I had were from when my half brother, before he became estranged from us, had, and my dad even bought some games for our PS2 that he used to game on a bit, and I watched him play. They were fun times. Games such as, we had a couple racing games, such as Gran Turismo 3 and 4. We had Dragon Ball Z Budokai games. My dad even had Tiger Woods games that I even got into. Tiger Woods 03, 04, and 05. Like as a kid, I liked golf, and those golf games that we had were very fun to play. Even kind of fun to play to this day, even though I haven't played in a while. But yeah, even on retro game consoles, like the games that they have, a lot of the graphics and style that we see are actually fairly decent for that era. Even to this day, they still look fairly decent. And so that's about it for that part. And another good thing about, say those who grew up in 90s and 2000s is that no social media. Without social media, of course, social media is one of the biggest problems with society. I mean, I guess some people consider YouTube a social media, but wouldn't call it a full-on social media, even though actually on YouTube you can actually make community posts and shorts and whatnot like on any social media. So yeah, YouTube has really become a social media, but you can just easily go on the YouTube channel to select their community and view their posts for yourself if you wanted to, unlike with Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that, where you just immediately look at pictures, posts that people make instead of going to a special place to look at certain posts. But yeah, growing up, I'd be fascinated too by the life in the 90s and early 2000s. I've always wanted to like maybe experience that kind of thing for myself. Even though I grew up in like that era a bit, the memories of them are pretty blurred. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get to experience growing up real life stuff from back then, or at least teenage stuff. Not all the time because of how young I was, getting in on my E-rated games, whatnot, and PG rated shows and movies, that stuff. Yeah. I would actually, for some time, I would actually look up home videos from like the 90s and 2000s and even the 80s per se to see how it was. And it all looked pretty fun. People looked pretty happy. People, if like, people would make home videos with their retro consoles and the opening days of them, and they go and buy them and play them at home. It all really looked like a blast, I tell you. And oh yeah, that's fairly simple. And so what I'm thinking is, a lot of times I wish I was born in, say, 1991 instead of 2001. That way I'd actually get to experience life growing up in the 90s and 2000s with like, early Cartoon Network days, Nickelodeon days, where Nickelodeon had those game shows and it had all that, the kid version of Saturday Night Live, where of course a lot of child actors' nightmares occurred with the creator Dan Schneider of the show. Sorry to hear. It's horrible. My heart goes out to all those child stars in Nickelodeon who suffered so much after watching that documentary series. And yeah, life just seems so simple. These days, everyone's all about, social media, people look at people's other posts and think, oh, they have the perfect life, whatnot. But, and they feel they have to go and, compare themselves to them and try to see if they can better their lives to be like this person, which isn't right. But even before social media, the thing that what people used to know about media was newspapers and magazines. People would also look at these people in the magazines and compare themselves to them. So it's like, magazines were the biggest, we're using the word like all the time, sorry. But just trying to get my words together. Hope you understand that. But magazines definitely were similar to what we have to social media that we have today. And magazines are never around anymore for people to read that much. But yeah, when I look at these home videos, of course, people look so happy. And it makes me wish that I would actually go back to experience that kind of lifestyle. People look so much happier back then than they do now. And the world has gotten worse in some ways. But of course, I just want to say that's their decision. You know what? I really don't have anything against social media, despite what I just mentioned a little bit ago. But my belief is that a way to become stronger, as a way to limit yourself from what you see on social media, it's hard to find the right words for this. I'm sure you'd understand. I hope I mention it in a way for you guys to understand too. It's just hard to come up with these kind of words sometimes, I hope you understand that. But yeah, all I'm saying is, a lot of people would actually agree with me. People wish they were born in a different era, but I could definitely say I do like the era I'm growing up in. And while I guess the thing I wouldn't want to miss out that's modern day would be, dare I say it, Bluey. And you saw my video from a couple weeks ago about comparing my life to Bluey and her sister, all that stuff. But I'd probably find a way to discover that for myself if I was actually, say, born in 91 rather than 01. I'd probably find a way somehow. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, 2000s, 2010s were an interesting era to grow up in. I mean, teenhood was a bit rough, especially with the social media and whatnot, but that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. And all in all, sometimes I'd wish I was born at a different time, earlier than where I was actually born right now. And I'm sure a lot of people would agree with me when I'm sharing this with you. A lot of people who are watching, I'm sure you'd agree, feel the same way. But I just embrace who I am and the time I'm living in right now. And I wouldn't change it. I mean, sometimes we can have our fantasies, whatnot. Sometimes I do wish it could happen, I guess, but I can't change that. So, yeah, the 90s and 2000s had great music, TV shows, movies, video games, activities you can do, all that stuff. Things were a lot less dramatic. Things were easier. And social media is what made it harder, pretty much. But, yeah. That's all to really say about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys like what I had to say. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll definitely be sure to catch up with you guys soon. And I'm glad some of you also enjoyed my karaoke videos. I know I'm sure I'm not the best singer, but karaoke is all about fun, not about sounding good per se, even though I did sing what I consider my best songs with my tone of voice, but that's all I'll say. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'm glad some of you will agree with me if you were to watch it, but if you disagree, then that's okay. And I'll be sure to catch you guys again real soon. Have a good one.